Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump just dropped an absolute bombshell to remind the American people exactly who the Democrats are fighting to protect right now. You see, President Trump just dropped a public list of dozens of illegal immigrant Tren de Aragua gang members, complete with names, photos, and every single one of their horrific crimes against the American people. Murder, drug smuggling, human trafficking, armed robbery. This is the rap sheet of these vulnerable migrants that the Democrats say deserve amnesty, open borders, and, get this, reparations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's make something very clear about all of this. The Tren de Aragua gang isn't just another criminal syndicate. These are hardened killers and human traffickers that operate like a foreign militia on United States soil. They've infiltrated Texas, Colorado, New York State, and dozens of other states thanks to Biden's reckless open border policies. And yet, while President Trump is working overtime to round these animals up and get them out of our country, the Democrats and their army of federal activist judges are doing everything they can to stop the deportations. It's as if the Democrats care more about MS-13 and Tren de Aragua cartel gang member terrorists than they do about you and your family. But check this out. In just under 100 days, ICE, under President Trump's renewed direction, has already arrested and detained 394 gang members affiliated with Tren de Aragua. That is what leadership looks like, and that is what America First really means. President Trump has even attempted to invoke the Alien Enemies Act in order to keep Americans safe. But you know what happened? A corrupt Supreme Court decision tried to block his use of that act, once again showing how desperate the progressive elite are to defend the criminals that are currently invading our country. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this next thing we're going to talk about today is absolutely insane. But before we get there, I want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But okay, check this out. Right this very moment, top Democrats are actually calling for reparations to be paid to illegal immigrants that President Trump has already deported. Take a look at this.
They've gone nuts, and the optics of it are just unbelievable. Sheldon Whitehouse is talking about seeking damages from the government for Abrego Garcia. He's talking about $1 million a day. He wants to fine the U.S. government for the deportation of an illegal alien who has been found in a couple different instances to be an MS-13 gang member. What on earth could possibly...
Where are the damages for Americans?
Exactly.
I don't know how much time I have here. But I mean, for the love of God, where are the damages for Americans? Where do I even begin? Where do I even start? We used to have a functioning public school system in this country. Then we had open borders. Now our schools are in chaos and disarray. We need hundreds of translators. Nobody's learning how to read or write. An entire generation of Americans, multiple generations, in fact, have been robbed of educational opportunities. Entire cities. Look at Los Angeles. Once a paradise of safety, security, and prosperity. Entire neighborhoods occupied and controlled by foreign gangs? Where do all the residents who've been displaced, who've been forced out of Los Angeles, where do they go to get their reparations? And then what about the victims of fentanyl poisoning brought in by Democrats' open border? Hundreds of thousands of moms and dads whose kids are dead and buried in the ground? Where do they go to get their reparations from the government? And then all the women who have been raped, who've been beaten, who've been murdered? All the dads who've been shot dead and aren't home, all the police officers who've been slain by illegal aliens in ambush attacks in the line of duty, where do any of these people go? Where do any of their families go to get reparations? Or the 500,000 children that Joe Biden trafficked across the southern border and put into the hands of unvetted so-called sponsors? Do you know how many stories I could tell you of children that were trafficked across the border and raped because of the policies of Joe Biden? There aren't enough volumes that could fit into a library to calculate the carnage that has been inflicted by the Democrat Party's policy of open borders. We can spend the rest of our lives trying to document those harms. Where does our whole country go to get repaid for all of the wealth, all of the prosperity and security that has been stolen from us by decades of uncontrolled illegal mass migration? Because we all deserve reparations for for what has been stolen from us. It is a tragedy that defies our ability to even describe it.
Ladies and gentlemen, as usual, Stephen Miller absolutely nailed it. If anyone really does deserve reparations, it's us Americans that have had to deal with and tolerate all of the violence and crime that these illegal immigrants have brought with them into our country. And so now President Trump isn't just exposing all of these violent and evil illegal immigrants. No, he's also exposing the Democrats for what they really are. Traitors who would rather side with foreign cartel gangs than actually protect American citizens. As you all know, these illegal immigrant cartel gangs, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, they are literally terrorist organizations, and the Democrats are actively protecting them. And so really, when you stop and think about it, President Trump's deportation strategy is really about restoring order to a country that otherwise was completely orderless prior to him stepping back in office, that is. It's about cleaning house. It's cutting through the anti-American rot that has infected this country for the last several years under the Democrats' leadership. And folks, let's keep something very important in mind as we're talking about this. While progressive politicians and the left-wing media go on and on about rights and compassion and due process, let's remember who the real victims are in this entire situation. The American families who have lost daughters, sons, fathers, and mothers to all of this unchecked illegal immigration. But you know what? Immigration is the wrong word. Let's start using the word invasion, because that is exactly what has happened, and that is exactly what the Democrats have facilitated and continue to defend to this very day. And so when President Trump releases the profiles of these violent, murderous cartel member terrorists for the entire world to see, he's saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is who the Democrats are defending. And it's true, they are. The Democrats for weeks now, for months, for years, in fact, have been actively defending illegal, invader, cartel gang member terrorists. And so thank God the Democrats are no longer running the country. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we are putting America first, which means all of these people have got to go. Now, folks, before we wrap up with today's video, I want to say real quick that I've actually gone ahead and made a community Facebook page where I'll be posting additional news and updates as it relates to all of this. So, hey, if you guys use Facebook, check out the pinned comment down below and give that page a follow. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Please like the video while you're down there, if you like the video, that is. As I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.